Hey everybody, it's your boy Jersey from Jersey's Rants with his new upcoming segment, Musclecar Rewind. This is where I talk about the great muscle cars of the yesteryear. Please excuse the set right now until I can go to the other side and finish that set. Anywho, today we're going to talk about the 68 442. And this episode is dedicated to the man, well, who when I was a short little kid in New Jersey, Maplewood, New Jersey to be in fact, I was all about the Corvettes, the Z28s, the Trans Ams and all that. Well, Billy Lombardi worked at the gas station I would later work at across the street. And he had a 442. Boy, I was beside myself. It was phenomenal. I actually started seeing the other beautiful cars, muscle cars that GM produced. But anyhow, moving right along, and the 442 started out in 1964. It was Oldsmobile's answer to the GTO. And, what they did was they took a 330 cubic inch motor because, back then GM, told everybody, listen, the intermediate car size line, you can't have no bigger than 400 cubic inches. So they came out with the 330. GTO had the 389. And they took this motor, big for its time, and they stuffed it in a big Cutlass. Sometimes it was a post coupe, sometimes it wasn't. And they called it the 442, which stood for 4-barrel carburetor, 4-speed transmissions, and dual exhaust. Dual exhaust, actually, but we're going to go with it. It was old. It was 1964. I mean, come on. Anywho, by 1968, the car became its own separate model. All right, and it also came with 3 separate horsepower ratings. Okay, the base 442 4-speed was 350 horse. The automatic got 325. But the King Kong option, the W30, which we'll get into later, gave it 360 horse. Now, I know what you're saying. All right. The W30 gave it 10 extra horsepower. Well, we're just going to say for the sake of argument that, the factory wasn't all that truthful in the horsepower ratings. Because don't forget, insurance companies just like to charge the living hell out of anybody that had a muscle car, let alone a fast muscle car. Trust me when I tell you, the W30 was a little bit more than 360 horse. Anyway, the cars all look like this. Now, as you can see, very good looking car. It kind of resembles the GTOs and the Chevelles at the time. I mean, come on, it was GM. A lot of times, they sort of kind of all resembled each other, except different motors, different interiors, and a lot of different exterior parts. Now, you also notice, which I kind of like, is the way that the stripe goes down at the edge of the fender over the 442 emblem, which it's different. I like it. But it's a basic, plain Jane kind of a muscle car. No flashiness to it. It's simple. Turn the key, ignite that 400, and lay rubber for the next 10 blocks. Because you want to know something, these Oldsmobile motors, they really didn't have like ginormous amounts of horsepower, but what they had was torque. I mean, we're talking about the kind of torque where, this is a slight exaggeration, where you could probably hook this freaking thing up to the Empire State Building, and that State Building's going to go along with the car. Just saying, just putting that out there. It's over-exaggeration, I know, but if you've ever driven any of these cars, the Pontiacs, the Olds, the Buicks, they're all known for their torque, and it's just... the seat of your pants, you just freaking feel it. It's awesome. But, your next question is, yes, they were also available in 4-speed, automatic. You can have the 3-speed on the column, or you can have it on the floor, like these interior pictures right here. Now, as you can tell by the three imperial, I get so excited talking. I just love these cars. And this anyway, as you notice, these interiors, they were Oldsmobile. Very basic, very plain Jane. And when you bought these cars, you bought them to race on the street. It's what they did back then. You laid down your money, you got a fast car. I mean, no frills, no nothing. You just stomped that accelerator, hold on, shit for your life, and you're like white knuckling it, literally. Now, as I said, almost every car is good when it comes out. As I said, 400 cubic inch, lots of torque, 4-barrel, all right, automatic 3-speed, 4-speed. Okay, you can get a 390 rear end in it, or actually 391, positive traction. But the King Kong came out, or they offered. It was called the Oldsmobile W30. This bumped the horsepower up to 360. As I said, 360, we still don't know the actual horsepower numbers back then because, as I said, they couldn't advertise too much because the insurance companies would soak you for it, especially if you're a young kid, 19, 20, 21 years old, and, you're buying one of these savage beasts out of the friggin' showroom. Okay? So, hey, it was what it was. And also, not to mention, as I mentioned in the other episodes, tire technology was not like it was today. A lot of those tires, they gave them these skinny little tires, and they had no traction. They didn't stick for nothing. So you got all that horsepower, them little tires, you got nothing but wheel spin. Even the high-performance tires back in that day could not compare to today's tire standards. But anyway, the W30 in your Oldsmobile would definitely change the game. Here's what I'm talking about. Now, the W30 was an amazing beast. When I call it a beast, I'm probably understating it. Okay? It gave it 360 horsepower, a big bump up. And, as they said, these cars, you may look at the horsepower and go, but it was the torque they were known for. And these cars, I can't go into the gobs of torque that they generated. If you've ever driven one, you have to. It's awesome. But, the W30 gave it a wild 328 duration camshaft. It gave it special D-designation heads, okay? And it included 2 hood scoops underneath the front bumper with these huge, 4-inch air ducts running up to that special air cleaner dual snorkel. As I said, the air cleaner has a chrome lid, black base, and it did come in 4-speed and automatic. Okay? But the thing is, and, everybody has to remember is that, the 328 was such a hairy cam. It was practically like a race cam on the street. It was really, really high up there. So you couldn't have power brakes with it. Okay? Because that cam was just didn't generate the vacuum to operate the power brakes. However, if you got the automatic, okay, you could also have you could order the hairy cam with it, the 328 duration. Okay, but this would also give you the 2300 RPM converter, and, well, you couldn't get power brakes with those. Okay, if you ordered your W30 with power brakes and an automatic, you got the milder cam, which, didn't make it like the bad boy 4-speed cars. As I said, it's one of those things. You want the power brakes or you don't. It's kind of like a necessary evil. It's like damned if you do, damned if you don't. I mean, you got a fast car, you want the power brakes. But then they're also saying, well, hey, if you want to go a little bit quicker, well, we're not going to give you the power brakes, and you pretty much got to, do this when you're trying to stop. Oh my God, it's just nuts. Now, they also came with red inner plastic fender wells. And not to mention, they had the special heads had a D designation on them. Okay? The D designation was stamped into the head. And it was in front of the number 1 spark plug and down the line after the number 8 spark plug. Okay? If it doesn't have a D on the heads, I hate to say it, either maybe the heads were cracked at some point in time and they replaced them with other heads, or you don't have W30 heads in that thing. Just saying, just putting that out there. As they said, it's been so many years since these cars have been put out, and so a lot of them just don't have the original motors, or a lot of them people try to rip people off and make a bigger buck than what they should. They'll say, yeah, I got a 442, but hey, you know what? If I make it a W30, I'll get more money out of it. And then when you go to purchase your W30, they just don't tell you, well, hey, you know what? It's a real 442, but we made it into a W30. I mean, some people are content like that. Me, if I'm paying money for a W30, I better have an authentic W30, or me and the guy trying to sell it are going to have some friggin' issues. Just saying, just throwing it out there. Alright, I'm Jersey. That's my time. Hope you liked the episode, and there is just more to come. I just love these muscle cars. It's just a forgotten time. I drive an '05 GTO, and as much as I love that car, it's just not like these fire breathers you get in. You slam the door and it's, you turn the key and you hear that cam and you just put that Hurst 4-speed in a first, and you can just hear like Bad to the Bone in your head by George Thorogood and the Destroyers. It's just a feeling. All right, everybody. I'm Jersey. I'm out, and I'll see you when I see you, everybody.